Right, so let me just kickstart for today. A very good morning again. My name is Wayne. I lead the Plug and Play team in Singapore and drive investments for us in Southeast Asia. This is the 8th edition of our APAC Summit, and we've heard from you. There's a lot of events recently, so that's why we have compacted all our content into a single day. Right, so today we have 6 segments, 6 programs across our Southeast Asia APAC programs, including financial services, GIA, our market access gold programs, smart cities, sustainability, health, and then basically we have also networking at the end of the day for those of you who have registered to attend. So networking is going to be on the first floor at Providor, so only for those who have registered with us. Right, so some housekeeping items before we begin. Right, I need to make sure that you guys know where the toilet is. Right, right. So if you guys are looking at the toilets, you can exit right after the registration counters. The ladies and the gents are there, so if you need that anytime throughout the day. If you need to get access to the Wi-Fi, there's a public hotel Wi-Fi, which is Fairmont_meeting. So this is the hotel public Wi-Fi, so you can access there. Just a reminder also to keep your phones on silent mode throughout the entire day. We have set up pitches, both physical as well as virtual, that will join us throughout the entire day, and with about 50 of them. So let's not be too disruptive, okay? We are also joined today by a lot of our Plug and Play team members that are flying in from multiple regions. So we have folks from Europe, folks from Korea, folks from across Southeast Asia. So if you need to look for any one of us, we are in the green tags, so the colored tags at the bottom. So these are the green ones for Plug and Play team members. So if you have any questions about us or you need any help, feel free to reach out to us. The startups are in purple. So if you guys need to, look for startups, they are in purple. The corporates as well as the government partners, they're all in blue, and then the investors and the community partners are in brown. Yes, so I see you guys, a lot of you guys looking down at your text to figure out what color you actually are, right? So these are the colors. Throughout the entire day, there is going to be no breaks in our program agenda. As I said, we are squeezing everything into one single day, so we're powering through content for the entire day, even during lunchtime, right? But that's not to say that we have no food provided. So we have, F&B outside throughout the entire day. We have breakfast that is served now until 11:30 a.m. Lunch is from 12:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., right? And then tea time. Oh, there's tea time as well. Wow. 3 to 5 p.m. in the afternoon. Okay, so if you guys are feeling a bit peckish, or you are getting sick and tired of networking, just grab food and drinks into the room. You're allowed to bring that into the room, and then you can watch the pitches and listen to the content and on stage. Okay, last thing, of course, there are also startup booths outside that you've seen. For those of you who are looking to connect with each other, we're using the Brella app. Okay, let me just make sure that I had the right slide. Right, so for those of you, we're using the Brella app for the first time. A lot of our team members, locations globally have used that, so it's a way for you to easily facilitate and set up meetings with whoever has registered, so even those who are not around. So please use this app. You should have received an invite link in your mailbox. If not, please approach our help desk just beside the registration counter to get access to the Brella app, okay, for this particular event. And then we can just share and jump with you to the morning content. We started a bit late because I see that there was a lot of networking outside, so we wanted to keep that going. So this morning we have very interesting content coming in from our friends over at Bain, sharing very latest statistics and updates, so keep a watch out for that. And then we also have our financial services segment featuring keynotes from Visa as well as esteemed panelists that will join us on stage as well, and then followed by the startup pitches. Right, enough listening from me, or listening to me. Right, let's kickstart this morning's segment. In order to have a welcome address, and we have Jojo, our co-founder of Plug and Play, who's in town today to give you a welcome address. Can you give Jojo a round of applause, please?
Thanks, Wayne. Hello, everybody. Good morning. I almost bumped into Wayne there, because in our world we walk on the right side. Anyway, welcome everybody. My name is Jojo. So I started Plug and Play in 2006 in Silicon Valley. For those of you who don't know me, and then I came back here to Asia about 10 years ago to oversee our expansion and our operations here in this side of the world, which I think is the best side of the world. No, of course I'm biased. Again, thank you. Welcome to everybody. It's nice to see old faces here, and faces that I have normally just see on a Zoom screen. So welcome, and a special shout out also to all of our guests who flew into Singapore. Thank you for taking that extra effort and joining us today. So just a little inside information. We had internal meetings, a couple of months ago saying, should we do hybrid? Should we do face-to-face only? And we kind of forced ourselves this time to do everything in person. We think that this model is still the best sort of model, especially for our industry, where we need to network physically and see faces face-to-face. So I hope you don't mind if we move forward from now on doing it this way. We think that this is the best way to establish networking and collaboration between each other. I was just in the other summits that we had in Japan and in Silicon Valley, and one thing that I saw there that we had a DJ. So maybe next time, Karina, we can have a DJ here. So it can be more visually fun. But anyway, again, we said, let's do this face to face. Now, at Plug and Play, really, our goal is to create the best platform possible for people with great minds to share ideas and most of all collaborate. We all have a common goal to promote innovation and entrepreneurship. So I encourage all of you to exchange business cards. I hope that's still fashion nowadays. The other events that I've gone to, they tap each other's phones or whatever, and do QR codes, and I always get lost. I still have my old-fashioned business cards here. So I hope that'll still continue. But anyway, most of all, we want to encourage sharing of ideas and opening your minds to these new opportunities. We have put together a great show today. To all of our startups, we look forward to seeing your stuff. And to our corporate partners, we thank you for your support and for the trust that you have given us. And before I end, may I please give a warm and thankful shout out to my Plug and Play team. They've worked countless hours, for putting all of these things together. Thank you very much, guys. Great job, and will remind me to pop the champagne later tonight, okay? Again, welcome to all of you, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Jojo. So Jojo will be here throughout the entire day. He's normally based in Manila, or if he's not flying around, and he tells a lot of great stories about Plug and Play. So if you're interested to catch him, tell one of his anecdotes about starting Plug and Play, please look out for him. All right, next on to give you some APAC updates and a new partner announcements. We have Jupe, managing partner for APAC. Jupe has been with the company for the last, was that 14 years, 15 years? And he's one of the reasons why we are here in Singapore today. So can we give a round of applause to Jupe, please?
Thanks, Wayne. Very warm welcome. Good morning. See, I walked on the left side, so I don't bump into anyone. So my name is Jube. I'm the managing partner for Plug and Play in APAC. These days, mostly focused on Southeast Asia, which is the fastest growing region, one of the fastest growing regions for us. I'll start with a fun fact. This picture, I think, was taken more than 10 years ago, and I think the marketing team actually photoshopped it to make me look a bit slimmer. So obviously, I'm not that slim, but you just have to bear with me, right? My bosses said that we are 15 minutes beyond our 15 minutes buffer time, so I will try to catch us up. Many of you have heard about us before, and heard from me, heard this introduction, so I don't want to take up too much time. Before I start, let me just thank everyone for coming, especially our speakers and our startups and everyone and all of you participants. Many of you have flown in, and we really appreciate that. We are not live streaming, so we are recording it for future audience and some of our overseas guests who cannot be here today. So again, I'll zoom very quickly. Oh, I see the timer's already clicking. There are three core pillars to what we do today, and they all revolve around the startup ecosystem. So we like to say, we are the world's largest open innovation platform. We operate and run accelerator programs around the world, and you will hear from some of our programs that we are running today. We work with more than 500 MNCs, conglomerates, large enterprises in corporate innovation activities, innovation workshops, deal sourcing, investment activities, etc. And last but not least, we are early stage VCs. So at the end of the day, we are investing into many of the startups that we work with, and on average, we are deploying $15 to $20 million per year, investing in an average of 150 to 200 startups globally. We are now live in about 45 cities. We have a team of almost 700 around the world. A big part of our team are our ventures folks that do startup sourcing, due diligence, onward introductions to our corporate partners and our investor partners as well. These are all the verticals that we operate in around the world, right? So there are about 18 to 20 plus themes. Some are a little broader, like financial services. Some are more specific, like animal health and animal husbandry. So something that I do not know much of. The ones that are highlighted in blue are the themes and verticals that are represented in our APAC markets. So a bit about APAC. Singapore was the first international office ever that we launched, and that was because Saeed and Jojo back in the day said, Jube, let's start investing outside of Silicon Valley. Where should we go? I said, let's go to Singapore, right? There's a lot of funding and money from the government, so this was our first international office. Today, we are a team of 60 plus, mostly across Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, and the Philippines. We will be expanding into Malaysia next year as well, and possibly Vietnam after that, so stay tuned. Many of our colleagues in our Asia offices from China, Japan, East Asia are here as well, so please do interact with them as the day goes by. This has been a good few years for us despite the pandemic, so we powered through. We virtualized or made hybrid a lot of our content. We have not managed to do too many of these large gatherings, but hopefully now we are back on track, and we will see all of you in person, in the flesh, a lot more going forward. I won't run through the details, but on average, we are doing 100 plus deal flow sessions between our partners and startups per year in the region. We have accelerated almost 600 startups in APAC. We thank all of our investor partners and mentors for being here. There are almost 200 plus of them, and we are co-investing and collaborating with quite a few hundred organizations and partners throughout the region. New partner announcements. See, I'm almost done. I have 10 seconds. Our partners work with us for a variety of reasons, and that is really to engage with the startup ecosystem and all the stakeholders in it. So that might be to explore working with startups for POCs, for investments. Sometimes it's for internal entrepreneurial education, if you will, right? To kind of transform mindsets and culture within the company. So a variety of reasons. Pleased to announce a few of our new partners that have joined us in APAC recently. Visa, you'll be hearing from them very soon. We are powering Visa's accelerator program this year. they need no introduction. They are the world's leader in payments. Second, Merexis, Singaporean, homegrown biotech company. We are also powering Merexis translator program this year. So the QR codes are outside. If you're interested, please do apply. Cork Singapore Limited, or KSL Maritime Ventures. They are looking at maritime-related opportunities for startups, investments, and otherwise. Very pleased to announce that they have joined us as well. Nippon Life probably also needs no introduction, one of the largest insurers in Japan. Thank you for joining our financial services program. Last but not least, Penn Ventures, one of our accelerator partners in Korea. We are working together to power some of the market access programs for Korean startups. And that's it, I'm done. So again, a warm welcome. Thank you all for coming. I think we will be powering through. So even during lunchtime, you are welcome to bring your food in and listen to the pitches. Enjoy today, and we hope to have a chance to chat with all of you. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you, Jude. Before we move on to the keynote segment, we have a short video, so please enjoy the video.
As we enter the new normal, it's great to see friendly faces. We're very excited to be here, to be able to physically connect with our friends and partners again.
I don't know any platform like Plug and Play that can able to bring and empower corporations to source out of thousands of startups and filter the best of them.
Most important aspect of this is talking to people, understanding what they're doing, the networking sessions that we do.
To me, as a corporate leader in an old business, it's always refreshing to meet people building their businesses from zero and understanding their pain points, understanding their dreams of the future. Gives me energy, and it gives me ideas that I bring back to the company.
It is important for us to be part of this innovation platform and look into innovation itself, because looking at the pandemic itself, it has impacted businesses, not just us and a lot of business all around the world. But we need to ensure that in moving forward in future, that we future-proof ourselves, and if we want to stay ahead and be relevant in years to come, we have to be looking at innovation.
Plug and Play strong networks and innovation platform has been useful in strengthening connections within the innovation and startup ecosystem in Southeast Asia. It is clear that to succeed, many of the startups we work with need a global strategy executed at speed. And given the different business cultures and environment across the region, I believe that the global startup operating with the right local partner will be able to execute more quickly than one which goes it alone.
I think it's been really interesting and exciting for us, especially when we think about solving for sustainability related problems. It's not unique to the maritime industry. This is a problem across the world, especially issues like decarbonization. For that purpose, I think Plug and Play is a great platform where we not just get introduced to startups, but also meet like-minded corporates from other industries.
I think Plug and Play has really, risen above itself to offer us startups and open our eyes very much to the digital landscape, not just regionally but globally as well.
In the last 2.5 years, we have ran our summits fully virtual, and as the world returns back to normal, this November summit will be our first fully physical event since the pandemic, and we are excited to welcome all of you here today. Thank you for joining us in person, and we hope you enjoy the event.
All right, thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. So this is footage from our June APAC Summit. So as you can tell, then we run 2 APAC Summits a year. So now we're back to normal. You see more of us, whether you like it or not. Right, so let us dive right into the main content itself, right? So to introduce our speakers, we have, for the keynote, we have both Florent and Adarsh from Bain. So Florent Hopper is the partner and head of digital practice in Asia Pacific at Bain and Company, as well as Adarsh Bejal, partner and head of digital practice in Southeast Asia. They'll be sharing about the latest trends and insights on the digital economy in Southeast Asia. Can we give both of them a round of applause, please?
Thanks, Jup. And yeah, great to be here and great to be in a room of people which are mostly maskless, although all respect to people who still put masks on, fully understand where you're coming from. So we have about 20 minutes together and really want to highlight a few of the key trends we saw in the digital economy this year. As I think you'll all be exceedingly familiar with by now, we do this report every year with Google and Temasek where we summarize Bain's investor insights in the space, our views on the tech space in the market from our tech clients, together with Temasek's views as a major investor and Google's views on trends and what's happening in the landscape. We called this a digital decade from 2021 onwards, and then hit the post-COVID period, which obviously was way, way messier than we would have liked it to be. I think all of us went through the last 12 months, and if you read the front page of the news, you go, what on earth is happening to us? And facing a number of disruptions. Now, if you look at the topics, I think this is probably a good summary of what you see in the news. Impacts all of us personally, from getting your iPhone, which has gotten way harder than we all expected it to be, to our personal finances potentially, job losses in the digital economy, and generally kind of a tough landscape over the last, I want to say 6 months in particular. Now, if you look at this in Southeast Asia, though, we still feel the front page news tend to be dominated by what's happening in the US and in Europe. 10% plus inflation rates, recessions are coming. Southeast Asia in general has been quite resilient, and I think partially this is a reflection of the mix of the region. If you look at these markets here, Indonesia and Malaysia are commodity exporting, and I appreciate this is not the crowd to talk about commodity exports, but they actually benefit in this environment where oil prices go up and where commodities get more scarce, which drives up GDP and keeps consumption locally up. So we're actually generally quite bullish still on where Southeast Asia is going to come out over the next 12 months, even if the US and Europe hit a recession. Now, that will impact us as well, so it's not as if we will not go through this unscathed, but you also see inflation rates here, while they're rising, they're still in the 5+% range and not have hit levels of like 10% plus like you would see in some of the developed economies. So we remain bullish on the digital economy. You would have seen the headline number. We think this is tracking to 200 billion. E-commerce is still a huge growth engine for us, and we also think that will continue over the next few years, and really also starting to see the trend patterns emerge in the post-COVID period. We profiled these 3 patterns. The first one is a kind of sideways lying S, not the saturation S, that means nothing comes beyond, but during the COVID period, heavily accelerated growth of the digital economy, and we see continued high growth, and that fits very much what we see in e-commerce and digital financial services. The other pattern has really been a normalization, return to trend line, where we saw a massive COVID spike. Food delivery is a great example, and still high growth, still a sector we're long-term very bullish on, but a bit of a normalization right now over the last 6 to 12 months. And the last sector is the U-shape, the heaviest impact by COVID, in particular the mobility sectors, transport and travel, where we are seeing a somewhat extended post-COVID recovery period. Turns out you can't just turn airports on and off. They need some time to actually put the planes back and hire people. And that will probably continue, but also makes for a very positive long-term recovery story. If I look at these sector by sector, just to give you quickly the high-level view, so e-commerce, I just mentioned, one of these accelerate during COVID and still high growth sectors. Obviously somewhat impacted right now through all the headline news. There's probably a number of people here in the room which invest some of their personal finance in this sector, so anybody who owns C Group shares, yes, my condolences. But I would very much expect them to come back up. I think there's a long-term kind of profitable business model here. We think there's some clear winners in this space now, and the big platforms have really emerged to be quite strong in this space, and the market continues to grow very strongly. I think we'll see that both into 2022, we saw the GMV levels go up. I think through 2022, there was a bit of a slowdown month on month, but we continue very much to see a positive long-term trend driven by shopping now, increasingly deepening shopping. So it's much more now around engagement, deepening users, and the next wave of growth. And I think partially it has to do with this next wave of growth now touches consumers which are truly rural and a bit further out. So while that's a nice social story and important to include them from a digital inclusion perspective, there's very little money in further out geographies, both from the consumers and in providing the access that they need, because logistics get very hard. The main money now is in the big cities, doubling down there and building user engagement in those cities and growing e-commerce in those cities. And all the big platforms are doubling down there and actually seeing continued growth trajectory in those markets. Food delivery, mentioned this before, clear surge during COVID, but continued also to grow quite healthy beyond that. And partially this is just a reflection of where the market is at. So food delivery in Southeast Asia is only about 2 to 4% of all meals consumed. That is 6 to 8% in China and the US. So lots of headroom for growth, and we think that will support the sector long-term quite well. Now, that's not a huge growth sector over the next years, but definitely still double-digit in terms of growth rates as we would project forward to 25, but also then towards the 2030 years. Transport is one of those sectors I mentioned, which we would have expected to recover faster. What struck me on this picture actually is that 22 is still quite a bit below 2019. And it's really just a reflection of, similar to airports, it takes time to get drivers back. There's obviously more demand controls in place now. So to be fair, if you look back at 2019, there was probably a lot of, I'm going to say, unhealthy demand in the market, driven mostly by subsidies. If you look at markets like Indonesia, where the rights for four-wheel and two-wheel drives were just getting unsustainably low, not even covering variable cost, to now more profitability focus. That said, there's clear demand in the market. I think all of us will have faced this. There's still shortage of ride-hailing and taxi services out there. And we would expect this market to recover quite strongly over the next few years. Airports and travel, a very similar pattern. Here we were, again, struck by, and I'm sure I'm speaking for this audience as well, I feel like our personal lives tend to have come back quite a bit. Like many of us travel, business travel has come back a fair bit. If you actually look at statistics, so the capacity at the airports in Southeast Asia is still at 30 to 50% of pre-pandemic levels. So there's only coming back to those levels now. We're missing major tourism corridors, with China effectively shut down, which used to account for 50, 60% of tourism arrivals in places like Thailand pre-pandemic. So it's not as if travel is fully back. Travel is back locally. You'll find a lot of places booked out, but airlines are at capacity for what is a much lower capacity, and that constrains travel somewhat. Still very much recommend going to Phuket and Bali right now because the places are empty. I mean, not empty, but definitely better than pre-COVID. And I think it's one time to see Angkor Wat if you haven't been. So travel is coming back. It's surging. We see a lot of demand in Southeast Asia. We see demand coming in from the region. But it's slower than we would have liked it to be. And it's going to take us 2-3 years to get back to the pre-COVID levels and really be at the travel picture that we had before that. Now, shifting gears to online media. Actually, again, a sector which has continued to grow with very, very solid growth trajectory. Obviously, also a hugely attractive sector because this is, of all the sectors we profile, it is one of those that is almost purely digital. So I can imagine that this GMV number, how that translates to revenue, how that translates to profit, lots of money to be made here. The numbers we couldn't break out, but you see on the right here on the CAGRs, you see roughly kind of how the different sectors are trending, and ads in particular continues to go up a lot. Now, that doesn't gel with some of the global news you may have seen from Google and Meta and others, but is actually just a reflection also of the advertising market to fragment a bit more. And I think in a somewhat healthy way from what used to be a very controlled, shouldn't say duopoly because they probably wouldn't like that, but a relatively controlled market. Now you suddenly have kind of other players coming in the social media space like ByteDance. You have the rise of retail media, which actually starts to kind of shift some of the advertising dollars to the end of the funnel on the e-commerce platforms and other retailers. So much more interesting ads landscape. The other sector here is video. Video is actually the one sector, and I apologize for the, gaming. It's the one sector that has been declined this year. And that was really on the back of the kind of emerging out of COVID and people spending their time elsewhere. That does not reflect a weakness of the gaming sector in Southeast Asia. It's a huge high growth market in Southeast Asia. We're very bullish on where gaming is heading in Southeast Asia. But really more of a, I want to say, post-COVID normalization pre the next surge. And gaming obviously now is much more penetrated. We think around shifting behavior. I'd be actually curious to know if anybody in this room does not secretly play some games on their phone. Probably kind of 90% quota or thereabouts. And that really just translates also then to spend on games and kind of continued strength in the sector, we think. The other two sectors here, video, music, again, kind of a bit of tale of two poles. I think video continues to do okay. Not great. I think this year, obviously, on the back of what used to be a bit of kind of overhang of subscriptions during COVID, but still growing. And we think bound to grow even further beyond that. And music actually made a strong recovery on the back of mobility and coming back and people actually moving about and listening more to music. So again, overall, very positive view on the online media space. And that brings us to digital financial services, where we'll pass it over to my colleague Adarsh.
Thank you, Florian. Okay, so I'm going to start with a little bit of comment on the digital financial services space. A lot more exciting, especially I think for this group with more early stage investments and a huge opportunity ahead. So the previous kind of 5 sectors we look at from a GMV basis. The digital financial services segment we don't look at from a GMV basis. We look at 5 different verticals here: payments, remittances, lending, investments, and insurance. Each of them with their own kind of metrics representing the underlying flows. Now, digital payments is quite mature. When we talk about digital payments, we include everything from wallets to cards to account, so everything which is non-cash. And that journey we've been on for quite a while. We are about 50% to 60% non-cash across the region. So digital payments continues to grow. Huge growth in both account to account as well as e-wallets, which is very, very, very promising and enabling everything else. But that's relatively a more mature segment, and you'll see that reflected in some of the growth rates. Remittance is the next one. In some markets like Singapore, it's already 80 to 90% digitized, so a little bit more mature. In other markets, still some room to go. But the other 3, lending, investment, and insurance, we're just at the tip of the iceberg. And that's why you see very, very high growth rates in the future. This could go much bigger as well if we kind of unlock some of that with innovation, which I'm looking at this crowd for. These numbers, the total AUM in investments or the loans outstanding from digital lending or the AP and GWP from digital insurance, we are just at 3, 4, 5% penetration of the whole market. The overall the financial services market itself is just huge. So there's a long way to go before we have a lot more penetration. So very, very exciting, and you'll see that in a moment as well, which is reflected from the investors as well. This is the space that's hot and still very, very exciting. A couple of things on the space itself. When we did our first deep dive on digital financial services back in 2019, we said there's a large number of players trying to attack this space. And we framed it across 4 groups: the pure play fintechs that had entered the market, consumer tech platforms like the e-commerce platforms or ride-hailing platforms that were also entering fintech, and of course the established players, the financial services incumbents, but also consumer services players, telcos, retailers, airlines. Everybody wanted to get into fintech and digital financial services, and it was a complete red ocean battleground. Now looking at the market again, 3 years on, there have been some shifts. So the pure play fintechs and the consumer tech platforms, actually both groups have done quite well. Of course, with the pure play market, there's a shakeout and some of the companies drop off. But the ones that are succeeding, actually diversifying beyond the single service line they may have started with and starting to do more partnerships and strengthen their position. Consumer tech platforms, as we know, with the growth of embedded finance, actually have pretty large financial services books already. On the established players, the established consumer players, the retailers, airlines, telcos, not as much traction. A number of them have tried experiments, but not going very far. I don't know if you guys use, for example, CrispPay here in Singapore. I'm always getting emails from them, but it's a hard battle for them to really get attention. On the other side, the established financial services players, the banks, the insurers themselves, they have been investing a lot in digitizing their user journeys and getting the affluent consumers to stay and not leave. And finally, you see the box at the bottom, the DG banks. That's a bit of a question mark at this point. Let's see what happens. They're very early days, but it should be pretty exciting as a consumer to see the innovation in the market. So let's talk about investments. This is a big topic right now. Everybody's worried that investments have kind of slowed down, dried up, and when will they come back? So we did what we do every year. We spoke to all of the VCs in the market, a number of investors. We looked at the data. So first, just on the data, you see on this chart the overall private funding in the first half of the year compared to the past. So 3 things to highlight. One is 2021 was an absolute exceptional year. You see that here. It was more than double each of the previous 2 years. So that was a real outlier. And if you keep that outlier aside, actually this year the first half was pretty strong. The first half itself at $13.2 billion was more than all of 2020, VC funding. So this year in terms of statistics is not going that bad. Of course, the second half has slowed down and is going to be much smaller than last year's second half. But last year was really a bit of an outlier. So we think in the longer term trajectory, we are still actually growing in terms of overall private funding in the market. And so that's a good conclusion. When we look at the mix across the different sectors, we see some shifts. So this is showing across digital financial services, e-commerce and e-commerce related sectors, transport, digital media, leisure and travel and others. And you see that mix shifting. So if you look at the 2020 bar in the middle, the tall one, you have digital financial service about 24% and e-commerce at 25%. And then if you look at the last bar on the right, which is the first half, digital financial services at 31%, e-commerce at 18%. So it's kind of the first time where the digital financial services space as a group across all of the verticals that I talked about is kind of attracting more VC funding than all of the other more mature sectors. And this is yet to come. So when we speak to the investors and we ask them, what are you thinking about for next year? Which are the topics? The first on the list is fintech and digital financial services. And then they get to other topics like Web3 or software or health tech and edutech, but fintech is way up there. So pretty interesting, and despite the kind of conservative outlook from the investors, it looks like it should come back hopefully in the next couple of years. Finally, they have a lot of dry powder, so we estimate, and this is a conservative estimate, at least $15 billion is earmarked for Southeast Asia, sitting with the VCs, waiting to be deployed, which should hopefully be good news for many in this audience. They're just waiting to find the right teams and right business models. A few other comments before we wrap up. This was the first year that we also looked at the ESG side of things for the digital economy. Digital economy is becoming really large now, and as it grows and becomes a bigger part of the GDP of the overall economy, as it grows in terms of influence, in terms of the number of people it touches, it's really important that we develop the digital economy in a sustainable way. And there are several things that need to be done for this, because we don't want to end up 5 years later saying that we grew really rapidly, but it was all wrong. So we've started to look at what matters. One of the things that we did was we sized the total GHG footprint in terms of million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. We think that's about 10 million tons for just the big sectors and just the increment from what normal consumption would look like if we consume on the digital sectors. So that's pretty small, but it's growing very, very fast, and it can take two very different trajectories. If we work towards electric fleets, if we work towards optimized logistics or e-commerce, we can actually have a much slower growth of the footprint. On the other hand, if each of us is ordering 5 coffees a day, food delivery, then that's not really going to help. So we've got to find a path both for us as well as the players to develop the right way. All the stakeholders matter. So investors on one hand need to really get their act together. When we talk to private equity investors, they have a pretty structured approach and are really pushing this. But at the VC end of the spectrum, they're still figuring it out. So that's a critical stakeholder group. Of course, the businesses, the large platforms have started to do more in terms of reporting as well as their initiatives, but long way to go, particularly on the social side as we think about the gig economy and the millions of workers that are and partners involved in the ecosystem. Governments as well are going to be quite important as they set the framework. And finally, each of us. So you and me, we need to be consuming much more responsibly. And we all say that we care about sustainability, but the data shows that we don't spend our money that way. And that's the say-do gap that we refer to on the slide. And so we have to kind of bridge that and start acting more in terms of what we would really like to see. So just to wrap it up, we remain quite optimistic about the sustainable development. We are kind of still at the beginning of what we call the digital decade, and there are, of course, lots of bumps along the way. Some of these are unexpected. Some of these are what it will take to mature. The shift towards profitability is actually good news for the sector overall. We need to have a profitable sector to see continued growth. And so, as long as we are developing in a sustainable model, we think this should just go from strength to strength. Thank you very much. Hope that was not too fast, but do check out the full report online, and happy to connect with any folks afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Florian and Adesh. I think that was very interesting figures. Excited for some of the sectors that we look at as well. I think it's good news for the startups that there's a lot of money flowing around, even as investors ourselves. I would say the only drop in terms of investment activity we had was in Q2 of 2020, and after that everything went back up again. So we came back to investing, more than 200 startups a year, and we still continue to invest more. And for us, we like that the big techs are removing some people from the ranks, and hopefully that can turn into new startups and new ideas, new concepts for us to kind of invest in as well. All right, I think towards the end, talking about financial services is a very good segue into the main financial services content, and to kick everything off and to give you a program overview of what we're doing in Southeast Asia for financial services, both fintech and insurtech. Can I invite Manav Narang, who is our financial services lead for the program, and he will kick off and share with you what we've been doing for the last 6 months. Can we give Manav a round of applause to welcome him?
Thanks, Wayne. I've asked them to click a better photo of me, so that will be here by the next summit. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Manav. I lead the financial services and healthcare verticals for Plug and Play across APAC. And I'll give you a quick introduction to the program, and then we can proceed to the keynote and the panel. So the financial services vertical was set up in APAC in 2018 with Singapore. And in the past 4 years, we've gone from strength to strength. We've done 9 batches so far, 45 plus events, more than 160 startups have been accelerated, and we've done more than 200 deal flows, which are problem statements-led active sourcing and startup matching with our corporates. Also, we've invested in 10 startups in these past 4 years. A lot of them are actually here today, either at the booths or in the audience. Please let us know if you want to connect with them, or you can do that on the Brella app. These are some of our corporate partners who we are working with in the financial services vertical. And anyone who's used a credit card in the past week, most often than not, it's a Visa card. In the last year, if you've used an ART test kit to test yourself for COVID, most often than not, that has been developed by Mirexis. And if you have insurance, we have all the partners here, so you definitely would have worked with them. So when we source startups for our programs, we take focus topics from our partners and then use them to actually find the best startups they should be working with, which is basically a win-win situation for both corporates as well as the startups. Around 200 startups were sourced for batch 8 in H2 this year, and only 5% of them actually made it to the batch. Some of the logos can be seen on the screen, and you will hear them pitch on stage later in the segment. And with time, we are improving and making our programs better and more valuable, and there's a lot new and exciting things that are in store. Firstly, we are doing a complete program revamp. It's not going to be an accelerator. It's not going to be a program. We are shifting. We are making things more relevant and more valuable to our corporates and to our startups. And it's a massive reduction in effort and overheads for everyone involved. So you get the best, you get what you're here for, and you're not wasting any time or resources, because that's what's most important, and you want to conserve that. Next, we're going to focus on what is most important for our stakeholders. For corporates, is getting POCs and pilots done and commercializing it, and for startups, getting those connections to the corporates. And lastly, we are doing thematic showcase events, which will be catered to certain niche areas within financial services and insurance, so that we are speaking to the right stakeholders. You're coming to an event or you're attending something which is exactly catered to your interest areas and focus. Lastly, the amazing team that's been working with our partners for the last 4 years and giving their all for this. Really, really appreciate you guys going the extra mile and helping our corporate partners as well as our startups. That's all from me today. Next, I will invite on stage Fonzerelli Ong who is the Senior Program Director for the Visa Accelerator Program for the Financial Services Keynote. Please put your hands together for Fons.
Thank you, Manav. Great, a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fons Ong, and I'm the Senior Program Director of the Visa Accelerator Program. I'd like to begin by saying how incredibly pleased we are to have Plug and Play as our new program partners for the 2023 program cycle of the Visa Accelerator Program. Now, we're currently in our third year of the program, and in the last 3 years, we've worked with over 10 brilliant and high-caliber startups from the Asia-Pacific region. And it's for that reason that we value and we understand the value that a platform that Plug and Play can bring to the program in helping us discover brand new startups within the external ecosystem, brand new solutions that can help us, attack and address some of the most pertinent and relevant opportunities in the digital payment space. Okay, so with that, for those of you who are new to what we do at the Visa Accelerator Program, I'm here to share with you about what we do and what we hope to achieve with a brand new cohort of startups. Now, in the Visa Accelerator Program, we aim to solve for two things. First, we often see companies face challenges, startups face challenges when trying to, take their businesses from a local success story to becoming a player in multiple markets, okay? Secondly, we also find that the diverse needs of Asia-Pacific means that a product or solution that is developed outside the region. So I'm thinking about some of these neobank type solutions or some payment solutions that are prominent, say in Western Europe, for instance. They could look very promising, but in reality, they might find it hard to succeed in this part of the world because quite simply, we're a very diverse group of countries and with very diverse regulatory environments with very diverse needs. Okay. Now, the Visa Accelerator Program allows Visa to plug these gaps specifically by giving us a platform, giving our startups a platform to define some of the most significant digital payment opportunities of our time. We like to invite startups in APAC, okay, to jointly address these with us, and we like to fast track their solutions into our platform and bring them to our client and partner network, okay? Now, secondly, startups that have gone through our program have actually found that we have a very strong commercial focus. So I'm going to double click on what Manav mentioned earlier. Let's be relevant to startups. We want to give them the value that they truly want to extract from a program like ours. So we're a 6-month program. We're very focused on commercialization, and we want to help bring and develop POCs and MVPs to our client network. Now, with the support of Visa's payment experts and business development teams, startups actually get to co-develop, test, and iterate their solutions within a very compact 6-month period. And we validate these against commercial opportunities within Visa's partners across the region. Okay, and also, if through this 6-month program, startups can look to replicate their success stories in new markets. And finally, we are a network. Visa is a network of networks. And through our program, we can actually connect these startups that have gone through our program with a very broad global network of merchants, with issuing banks, with digital partners, for instance, and today, even government entities. So that's really the value of the program. And with that, we're actually looking to recruit our next cohort for 2023. And let's take a look at some of the new opportunity areas that we're really interested in. Let's have a look at a video. Great, so I hope you enjoyed the video. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to expand a little more on the 5 new opportunity areas that we're looking to explore with our brand new cohort of startups. First, with Web3, we're very interested in this very nascent and fast-growing development in this particular space. And specifically, we'd like to explore the various ways we could build new commerce and payment experiences within Web3. Now, this could be, this could be expressed in the form of DeFi applications, or even risk and fraud solutions that happen behind the scenes that could improve overall user experiences in Web3. Now, turning to global money movement, I'm going to once again pick on a point that Manav mentioned earlier. He said, in the last week, if you've paid with a Visa card, that is probably what we think about when we think of Visa, but that cannot be further from the truth. Today, Visa facilitates money movement for businesses, for corporates, for governments. So actually, we're looking at so much more than just card payments. We are actually interested in optimizing the movement of money, both domestically and globally, by leveraging Visa's interconnected payments network. Now, this year, one of the startups in our cohort is a New Zealand-based startup called Simons. And what they've done with our program is to create a smart routing system, which would help FIs, financial institutions, optimize their payment rails for real-time efficiencies and cost. So we want more success stories like these, and we do not want to limit our thinking to just card rails. So once again, if you're a startup, if you know of a startup that can help, facilitate money movement in a very efficient and timely way, come speak with us. The third opportunity area that we're especially interested in is embedded finance. Now, with this particular area, we're very keen on finding new use cases and experiences by harnessing advanced intelligence capabilities. Now, this could be expressed as consumer loyalty and reward solutions. It could even be banking as a service applications, flexible financing models, treasury as a service models. The possibilities are quite limitless in this space. And once again, if you know of a startup in this area, please come speak with us. The next one, it's merchant and small business enablers. Now, having heard from Bain earlier, the common trend that we hear today is, businesses are all looking, economies are all looking to recover in a post-pandemic environment. And Visa, we believe in empowering small and medium businesses. It is such an important narrative as global economies are looking to create a strong comeback in this particular post-pandemic business environment. So we want to find new ways to support small businesses and merchants. We want to support them in managing money movement through digital transformation and also potentially through the delivery of next generation payment experiences. Just a fun fact, in the recent Olympics and now with the World Cup, actually, we've actually enabled contactless payments by using facial recognition technology. So this sort of things are what we're looking at. These sort of applications are what we're looking at when we're thinking about new payment experiences. And finally, with open banking, it's a topic that's very close to our heart. We want to continue building on the open banking environment within the APAC region to uncover new partnership models. Looking at APAC, we find that this is such an area that holds great potential for all of us. As governments are doubling down and really looking at new open banking use cases, we want to continue supporting this narrative by finding new ways to support our client and partners as well. So if you're a startup or know of one that operates in this space, has a great idea in open banking, come speak with us as well. So I'm really excited for what's to come in our next program cycle, and I really look forward to the innovative solutions that we can co-create with the new cohort of startups. Now, with that, I just want to give you a little more info on who we are looking for. So typically, we look for startups, about 5 to 7 startups for each program cohort. For us to fully realize the program's commercial focus, as I've mentioned, we're very strong commercials and benefits I've outlined earlier. Our program is best suited for startups with a market-tested solution. And ideally, if you can come to us with a perspective on how you want to collaborate with Visa, that would be really ideal. Secondly, from our past program cycles, we've also learned that growth stage startups that are typically in the Series A and above range are better suited for our program because they can actually extract the most value from our network and our resources. However, having said that, we recognize that there are many yardsticks and barometers for growth and growth potential. So if you're a startup or if you know of one that's pre-Series A, but still hold great potential, have a great idea and solution, please come and speak with us as well. Apply to our program, and we'd love to connect with you. Now, one of the things that we do at Visa is we're very focused on Asia Pacific, and we are very committed to the long-term commitment and growth of the region. And it's for that reason that through the program, we're actually seeking startups that are based in Asia Pacific or can demonstrate a long-term commitment to the region. And finally, we want startups to help us tackle the 5 opportunity areas that I've mentioned earlier. And once again, if you have a solution or if you're a startup that can pursue one of these 5 areas that I've outlined, come and speak with us. I've got 10 seconds to go, but I'll wrap this up real quick. So with that, we've actually opened the application cycle of the Visa Accelerator program, and we'll be accepting applications till the 10th of January next year. We are conducting interviews and screenings on a rolling basis in partnership with our program partners, Plug and Play, so please come speak with us. To learn more about the program, visit our website to learn more, or come speak with any one of us. A few of us from the Visa team is here today. Come speak with us. And of course, finally, with that, our program will be commencing at the end of March. And once again, we're looking at discovering a high caliber group of startups for our next program cycle. With that, I thank you for your time, and I'm looking forward to connecting with some of you today at our networking session. I'll hand the time back to Manav. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Fons. Okay, so Fons talked about startups, right? Startups spend a lot of time in acquiring customers and holding them engaged and captive, which they should, because engaging and retaining a customer is 5 times more valuable than acquiring a new one. And that is what our next panel is about. Startups as an innovative channel for digital partnerships and service distribution. For this, we have very interesting panelists who I've been holding prisoners in the first row. So I'll finally get them on stage. Please join your hands for me to introduce them. Gregory Wan, Chief Executive Officer of Endavas. Edmund Lim, Chief Partnership Officer, Prudential. And James Ong, Chief Commercial Officer, Trust Bank. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for your time. So before we start, in your own words, would you like to just say a few words and introduce yourselves? Greg?
Sure. Greg? Greg, CEO and co-founder of Endavas. Endavas is a digital private bank. We are the first digital advisor for CPF here. And through Endavas, you can invest your CPF, SRS, and cash. We're talking about partnerships today. We work with over 50 global fund managers today and rely very heavily on partnerships with incumbents to deliver the best solutions at the best cost to our clients.
Thank you. Edmund?
Hi, we've been working in Plug and Play for the last couple of years, and we're excited to be at this summit because through the partnership with Plug and Play, we often meet many startups with great ideas, and in my role in partnerships, all these great ideas help us build an ecosystem that's vibrant to engage with our users and customers across the region.
Yeah, thanks. James?
Thanks, Manav. James from Trust Bank. So for those of you not familiar, Trust Bank is the newest digital bank in Singapore. So it's a joint venture between Standard Chartered Bank and NTUC Enterprise. So I think those of you who shop at FairPrice, for example, you would have seen all the blue signages in the grocery stores. And I think, as our Bain colleague said, I think it's a new development in the market. But I think we are very excited about this. I think we can bring a lot of innovation into the banking sector.
Great. Thanks, guys. So let's jump in. First question, again, we can just take it one by one. How does your company currently reach its customers? Online, offline, direct, indirect? If I could.
Sure. Primarily online. I always say, we need to go to where the customer is most comfortable. So if that means hybrid, if that means they want to come to our office, and we've had people show up at our office before, we will entertain them. We don't want to be pure digital. We understand this is a natural adoption of going digital for wealth management. We saw earlier on the slides with Bain and Google and Temasek, on the very, very low penetration of investments right now and very high expected growth rate. We think there's so much of this business that can be automated, which will improve transparency, lower cost, and lead to better client outcomes. I mean, this is only a one-directional trend that is happening right now.
For us, many of you would have heard this saying, insurance is sold, not bought. So, our primary means of reaching our customers was through the agents. And then we had the bank channel. And, we went to the other extreme a couple of years back to create our own app to then engage with our customers digitally. But as we start evolving our experience digitally, we realized we need to work with the ecosystem players, those who already have the customers. And then as that evolved further, we realized that actually, we could try and get the agents to get connected to the customers of these ecosystem players to eventually try to get customers over the line to get an insurance product. But we continue to fine-tune the model and find the best mix of customer experiences across all these channels.
For trust, I would say there are three main buckets. I think the first one is the one that I think you typically see employed for digital channels, so your EDMs, your social media. I think that's what we do quite a bit of. Second bucket will be our affinity partners. So we do work with some usage partners, for example, your KFCs, your Gojeks, your Starbucks, and I think that has worked out well as well for us to tap into their customer base. And the third one would be the most interesting one in my view would be the, I would say our referral program as well as kind of the cashier lady advocates, right? So what I mean, right? So today if you shop at FairPrice, when you're paying for the card, you do get some question from a lady, are you using a trust card or not? And we found that that's worked really well, as well as our referral program to bring in the acquisitions that we need, yeah.
Okay, great, thanks. So what's interesting about this panel is all three of the companies are very different. One is an insurance firm, one is a digital bank, and one is a robo-advisor. But all of you, like you mentioned, have your own apps, and you all think digital is the way to go. So when we talk about digital partnerships, how important are startups when you are doing digital partnerships? And this could be insurtech startups, fintech startups, or the likes of Gojek, Foodpanda, and others you mentioned. What role do they play in your partnerships ecosystem? Let's start with James.
So short answer is super important, right? Because I think we launched only 3 months ago. So for all intents and purposes, we are a startup, right? So I think when we were looking both whether it's for our vendors to launch a bank or whether it's in terms of our usage partners, I think having the same mindset of innovation, of flexibility, having a very quick time to market, I think were factors that we all considered as very important. And I think startups naturally fell into that bucket, right? So I think I would say it's not as if we're not working with the established corporate partners, but I would say startups will always form an important component of our partnership ecosystem.
Edmund?
Yeah, I would bucket it into two aspects. There are startups that would help us essentially engage with our users. So we don't just look at insurtechs or fintechs, but we also look at digital health companies. I think the key thing for us we realize is that it's not just to try and sell an insurance product right at the get-go, but to create some value to the user, not just so that they're coming to your, so that they can come back to your site because it's engaging and fun, but at the same time we are building a profile, a customer sub-segmentation about them, to understand them better and to then potentially create products that are relevant to them. And then, of course, the other end would be the ability to reach customer segments that our agents couldn't traditionally reach because they focus on the mass affluent. But we would be able to reach to the mass at scale. So these two segments we see very important for the startups to play a role in. And finally, of course, accelerating our capability because just relying on our own technology team to deliver solutions quickly to these partners would be quite a pain. So many startups we work with help us accelerate that capability.
I mean, we're definitely the startup in this relationship. I would say. So we are a startup. I mean, from basically, we just celebrated our 3-year anniversary. Most recently, I think we announced we crossed 5 billion in assets as a group between Singapore and Hong Kong, where we just acquired a business there. And we're definitely the startup in the relationship. We work with a lot of major global fund managers. You can name, everyone from BlackRock and Amundi to Bridgewater and Millennium. So you can now buy Ray Dalio's Bridgewater strategies on Endowus. In a few clicks, you can buy Millennium on Endowus. You can buy crazy quant hedge funds like Quant Edge in Singapore on Endowus. You can buy the lowest cost index funds on Endowus. You can use your CPF to buy the S&P 500, for example, on Endowus. So these fund managers who are established, have hundreds of billions of dollars in assets, they are looking to us as a new business model. We are strictly fee only, which means we cannot collect any retrocessions from fund managers. We provide our clients with institutional clean share classes. We don't charge them sales charges. It's extremely different from the traditional distribution models. And of course, we think it is definitely the future, because the other ways will lead to worse longer-term outcomes. This will lead to better longer-term outcomes, better alignment, lower costs, more transparency. So when we got started and we're having conversations with a lot of these big incumbents, they kind of laughed at us and said, oh, there's no way this is going to work, because the existing distribution model of people going into bank branches, of being forced to pay big trailer fees to get products distributed, of bankers charging big sales charges to get product distributed. They're like, that's the only way it works in Asia. Pushed, not pulled. But I hope that we have started to change that dialogue. Now fund managers are much more willing to talk to us and innovate alongside us, and hopefully change that dialogue for the entire industry, because we strongly believe that it has to change.
Okay, very, very interesting. I mean, good, different insights from the startup side and from the corporate side. So when corporates, or even for example, Endowus, when you're partnering with any other partner, there are 3 different stages that we see. One, where you're very early stage, you bring pen to paper and say that, okay, let's have this vision and launch this in the next 12 months, which will be co-branded, which will go out as, Trust Bank plus this, or Pulse plus this, or Endowus this branded index, or something like that. Then there is a mid-range, or which can go to market in, let's say, 6 months, where you're just putting your products together in a bundle. Or the most common thing that you see is you just embed your product or service into another ones. Like, for example, Food Panda, and then you can see that, okay, get the Trust Bank card, or buy insurance, or go to Endowus and you get, $25, things like that. Which do you think is most sustainable and most rewarding? Partnering and taking 12 months, just starting and putting your products together, or just embedding your products into the service? Edmund, you want to start?
Sure. I've been thinking a lot about this question. Actually, when we first started, we tried to go the deep partnership model, where we spend lots of time trying to figure out what's the best product or customer segment that we want to target with our strategic partner, and we do it exclusively, and it takes a very long time, and finally when we launch, it doesn't really work. So, the way we look at it now, I think we see it as 3 buckets. One bucket is sort of the quick and dirty, like what you said, the Food Panda example. It's really about how we acquire leads that we can match up with our agents. And that's tactical, effective, and also something that our partners can do with relative ease, because increasingly we're finding that even our partners are having a lot of hold up in terms of technology resources. And then at the other end, it's really finding an embedded in finance, like what the Bain colleagues were talking about, where, you know, the customer doesn't have to think that they're buying insurance. It's just part of something that they are already doing. So that's sort of still nirvana, because for general insurance, it's pretty easy to sort of find the use case. But for life insurance, the ability to embed is still something that we are working on. And then obviously there is the third segment, which is probably the hardest, which is to make insurance just digitally available, whether it's on the Endowers app or on the digital bank's app. But that's really hard because people don't naturally just click on a insurance offering on the phone. So that one, we think that it's not just about the ability to make that available, but it's the constant A/B testing, like, okay, if today they didn't like the button here, can I make it somewhere else? Or if they didn't like that word, can I change that word? So to constantly test and learn, but it takes a lot of effort, I would say.
Okay. James?
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't conclude as a one-size-fits-all answer to your question, Manav. I would say the reward versus effort equation is going to be different, right? So on one hand, we do have partners that we spend a long time, working with in a more strategic fashion. So they will include FairPrice, of course, include NTC Income as our bank assurance partner. So those efforts or initiatives can easily take anything from 6 to 12 months to 18 months, right? So that's one bucket that's going to yield, the rewards over the next, 5, 7, 10 years, right? Then there's also the other bucket at that extreme, which is the more tactical partners, right? So the Food Pandas, the Gojeks, the Starbucks, I would say those tend to be more tactical. And I think we take the approach, as Edmund was saying, as being a bit more agile. I think we tend to try something first, see whether it meets objectives of both the partners. And then, if we find there's a meeting of minds and objectives are aligned, then we take it further to try and involve that into a slightly more strategic partnership. Right, so I think that's the approach we are taking today. I think for us to, either only do tactical or only do strategic, I think it's going to be, a challenge for us, right? Because we ultimately are still a new bank, and we are still, evolving in terms of the way we are interacting with our partners. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Greg?
Yeah, I think it's very nuanced. So different markets and different products require different journeys. If we were in Indonesia, for example, and we wanted to launch, and we've seen this happen many times now, but we wanted to launch like stock trading off of a big consumer app. It's like one click, KYC done, and go. You're in a market where the penetration of that type of service is quite low. And we've seen massive adoption for a few startups in that area. If you're trying to sell a wealth service or insurance in an app in Singapore, I think it becomes much more challenging because there's such deep penetration in this market already. A lot of people are overbanked. They definitely have a relationship with an insurance agent by the time they're like 22, et cetera, a financial advisor, et cetera. So a lot of what we're doing is replacing and changing, and educating so that people can make their own informed decisions on what service to use. So we've seen a lot of people try to do embedded services in Singapore. And I think, it's fair to say that most of the time it's struggled in this market. But it's because of the market dynamic. So I think, where you intercept the consumer journey, like for example, if you intercept with travel insurance at the right part of the travel journey, yes, you can do it. If you try and just say, hey, I have this great product, I'm going to push it onto this platform with hundreds of thousands or millions of users, it's very difficult, I think.
Okay. So today our audience is made up of a lot of startups. Even outside there are startup booths. So any advice for those startups? What can they do to work with corporations like yourselves, which is a win-win collaborative partnership? Any advice that you can share with them? Greg?
I think by being digital, it's not really enough. You need to actually be defining a new business model where there is long-term strategic value for the client. Because if you don't do that, you're going to spend a lot of money on CAC, and then it's going to churn off, and it's very replicable. So I would say just like make sure your business model is unique and iterate until you find that product market fit.
Okay, thank you. Edmund?
Well, I would say that dealing with incumbents and large corporate players actually tend to take a long time. And you know, when we were startups, if they tend to spend too much time with us, they may miss opportunities that are right in front of them that is easy to do. So I would say that, you know, work with the corporates like an option, but focus on, you know, building up your business to a massive scale first, and then, you know, don't worry, the corporates will come after you, and you don't actually have to go after them.
James?
Specifically for banks, I would say startups have to be very clear about their value proposition. I think banks do certain things well. I think they have a good balance sheet, customer base, they have the licenses, but they are not traditionally, I would say, the companies that I think do certain, I would say, niche offerings or segments very well, right? So I think if a startup can bring that to the table to say, okay, this is something that we do really well, whether, for example, we do credit scoring, for example, really well, right? I think that's where banks will be interested, because they obviously cannot be investing in building all those capabilities themselves, yeah.
Okay, we've just finished at the exact right moment. Thank you so much for your time and for your valuable insights. Guys, please join your hands with me to thank our esteemed panelists for this panel. Thank you so much. For the next segment, I'd like to invite on stage Ash, who's our program manager for our startup pitches.
Thanks, Manav. A very good morning to everyone. Thank you very much for being here. By way of introduction, my name is Ashwin, and I'm the program manager for financial services vertical here at Plug and Play. So in the interest of powering on, I think let's get to the startup pitches, which everyone's excited to see here today. So without further ado, let me introduce the first startup. We have Steer, and let me introduce Fiona, head of APAC, to talk about a little bit about the company. Thank you.
Thank you, Ash. Thank you, everyone, for inviting Steer to speak with you today. Let me go straight into what Steer is about. We're all about enabling insurance distribution. So, you know, when we received the invitation to come and speak to you today, I thought, well, you know, 4 minutes is not a lot of time to explain what we do. So we very quickly put together my one-slide summary, right? So what are we? Who are we? We're essentially an enabling tech platform on a SaaS basis that supports both the risk takers as well as the demand, right? To launch insurance solution and thereby creating growth opportunities and acceleration. Today, Steer has over 100 distribution clients around the world, and over 40, in fact, very close to 50 insurers and reinsurers that are participating with us as partners, right? How and where was Steer born? It was essentially born out of a group of insurance executives. I think if you take a look at our leadership team, myself included, you'd have very close to 150 years of experience, and you read that as maybe 150 years of understanding the pain of being both on the carrier side as well as being an insurance partner, right? And who has backed us? Hartford is a very large investor in Steer today, and a huge mega shout out to Plug and Play for believing in us. So, what is it we do? We have created a platform, right, and the APIs that link into the platform that essentially create ease of transactions between the demand as well as the risk takers. Let me go into a little bit more detail. So you see the Steer platform in the middle. We are a capacity marketplace. We provide, the bordereau APIs, the data APIs, policy administration systems, etc. And on the left, you see, the distribution channels, and they could be, insurance, embedded insurance opportunities, affinity groups, MGAs, retail brokers. We do a lot with retail brokers, as well as captives. And then on the risk taker side, you have the insurers and the reinsurers. Now, why are people excited about working with us? Well, number one, it's about accelerating their growth, accelerating their income stream. And number two, it's also about reducing expenses. Why? I tell you what, if you go to any carrier, any insurer today, and you say to them, do you have an API for your accident and health product or your warranty product or your liability product, they'll say, yes, 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 we have an IT team in-house and we can build it. And then the next question, how long will they take to build it? Oh, it depends, right? And it can, unless you're their top, profit center or top product line, you need to take a number, and developing something as simple as an API can take many, many, many months. In our experience, it takes anywhere from 12 to 18 months. We can do that in 2 weeks. So speed to market is a huge, huge value proposition that we bring to the table. We are born in insurance. We have developers that have many, many years of experience within the insurance domain, and we can do it at a very, very cost-effective, in a very cost-effective manner. So this is what the Steer platform looks like. We link it up with the risk takers as well as the distribution channels, whether it's B2B or B2B2C. Our capacity marketplace also matches the demand as well as the appetite, right? And we'll be available at our booth outside to take any detailed questions about this. But essentially what we do is, in a very high-tech, low-touch manner, ease the quote rate and bind process, match the risk taker's appetite to the demand, and therefore create that easy transaction. And on that note, thank you very much for your attention. You see here a little blurb about who we are and who the leaders are and what our DNA is in this space. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a booth outside. Please, please reach out to us. We're available for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we get a round of applause for Fiona, please? All right. Next up, we have Playbucks, which integrates existing exchanges, loan mediums, and NFTs into their platform so that users can conveniently access all services in one location. I'd like to invite Sarun, co-founder of Playbucks.
Hi, guys. Thank you. So I'm Sarun, the co-founder of Playbucks. So Playbucks is a Web3 metaverse with all of your favorite activities, right? So the vision for Playbucks is to be the most accessible metaverse in the world, meaning anyone with a mobile phone can access Playbucks and use it with a low-powered phone. So we've signed some of the biggest wallets in Asia, right? Like Gcash, TrueMoney, Indosat, AIS. We have over 300 million monthly active users who can use Playbucks and open the wallet and spend the money in the Playbucks. So very seamless. And we're backed by some of the biggest players in the Web3 space, like Binance, Gate, Tron, so extremely well backed. And right now we have over 100,000 wallets registered in just 10 days, so extremely large audience waiting to play. And our community is massive. We have over 150,000 people on Twitter. We have massive audience from all over the world, like Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, China, America, Philippines. So a huge, huge audience. And actually, I wanted to show you a few more, more things, but but I think it was taken out from the deck. But anyhow, I have a few more minutes, so let's talk about what we offer. We offer shop to earn. We have the first shop to earn services. In the metaverse, we have 20,000 online stores where you can shop from and earn crypto. We have the first watch to earn services in Playbucks. So we've signed some of the biggest watch to earn deals on the planet with streaming providers with around 500 million users who can watch and earn crypto. So essentially you can just chill at home and watch your favorite Korean series and earn crypto. We have also listen to earn. We have museums where you can chill out and walk around the museums and just earn crypto. We have listen to earn, you can listen to music and earn crypto. So we have a table outside, and if you like to talk to us and form an alliance or partnership, please visit our table. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarun. Again, if anybody has any questions, Sarun will be outside. All right, next up, we have Avata, which provides insurance for digital assets, NFTs, crypto tokens, and in-game assets. Can I please invite Songfeng?
It's an interesting bridge those two companies actually made in front of me, because those could be potential partners of mine. Quite interesting to learn about them. Avata, yeah, headquarters actually here in the Netherlands, and we're actually starting to open an office actually in Singapore. Avata is an insurtech company. I would actually say hello 2002, because we're going to do this again. I actually did this before in 2002. Fintech. What are we doing with Avata? We're actually putting everything from insurance together on one single platform. So basically companies from Helvetia to Zurich Re to Munich Re to AXA, Allianz, all those companies, we're going to put it on one single platform. They're all our, shall we say, insurance providers. By doing that, we're creating a platform, an insurtech platform, whereby we actually get the products from those insurance providers, and they are generating an NFT crypto insurance, which we can embed into the marketplace of our partners. Well, Playbucks, for example, could be a potential partner. For instance, we actually have partners like MoonPay, with OKX. We've got other big marketplaces that actually are looking in order to assure their business. You probably heard the last few weeks about FTX, BlockFi. Anybody heard about them? No? Yes? Well, it went really sour last few weeks. Well, in the insurance business, that's great news, because it creates fear. And how do you actually take away fear? Is providing assurance. Assurance by providing insurance to the market. So we're not an insurance company. We actually are a technical company providing insurance solutions provided by our partners. Have you heard of this before? Yes, FinTech, 2002. Companies like PayPal, Stripe, companies like Visa that you probably heard before today. Those are the companies who created the whole fintech boom. I was actually there in 2002. I was actually quite a young guy, started just like developing products in 2002. I didn't know that in 2022, hundreds and thousands of fintech companies would be actually existing and providing fintech solutions. Funny enough, none does exist actually in the insurance branch. I was actually in London 2 weeks ago. Innovation in the insurance space is basically still up for grabs. So what are we doing? Very simple. You buy an NFT. You can actually have an embedded insurance product that you can buy with it. It's very easy. We actually have a standard SDK you should just integrate through our API. What is the selling point? I heard about it. You need to have a selling point for this. It's all about sales conversion, assurance. By adding insurance, consumers actually in the metaverse and NFT space have trust that you actually, if something goes wrong, you actually get your money back. The problem nowadays is one of our clients, for instance, is the Rembrandt Museum. We're a Dutch company, so we actually have the Dutch Post, Rembrandt Museum. We actually have in total more than 100 plus companies. We actually are doing next year approximately $1 billion US dollar flow in policies that we're selling. Problem with that is, obviously we need policies in order to cover that. But we're working on it with our partners from Aon, Marsh, and all the others. So what we're doing is embedding. Does that sound familiar? Embedding an insurance product instead of embedding a payment product. Yeah, I have to wrap it up. So do you want more? Come see us at our booth. We actually already are way beyond seed finance. We're already walking towards Series A. But come to our booth. We actually have a lot of cookies with us. So, you know, you must be very hungry. Come by and get our cookies. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Songfeng. Again, if anybody wants to catch up with Songfeng, he'll be right outside.
Morning, everyone. Thank you for the time today. You must be wondering what a health tech startup is doing at an InsurTech event, and you'll find out just in a minute. So at Kinexus, our mission is to enable and empower people for mobility and a better quality of life. We have 2 product lines, and we are looking at serving the world's musculoskeletal disorders and injuries, which affects 25% of the global population, or 1.71 billion people as of today. We are doing this with the help of these 2 product lines, SaaS as well as IoT. Today, I want to specifically talk about the one that's relevant to large insurers. We are looking at the Keynote Desk-a-Size program, which is a workplace wellness solution that delivers bite-sized exercises at employees' desk. As an employee working in a large company, you don't even have to get up to do this Desk-a-Size program. Why would a company want their employees to do this program? Is to help them improve productivity, engagement, and retention, thereby enabling greater output for the company. The problems that we are addressing with this is lower productivity. Companies lose $60 billion annually because of low employee productivity alone. On an average, companies lose $600 a month per employee for an employee under stress. And this impacts their productivity adversely. So what is Desk-a-Size? Desk-a-Size is a bite-sized exercise program that's basically packed into a mobile application wherein the HR of the company selects a particular program for their employees, and then all of the employees of the organization can access it and use it without getting up from their desk. Furthermore, this comes in the form of daily simple desk-side exercises, which is completed in simple steps. So here you'll see a person, using this Desk-a-Size program.
Side stretch. Please stand by. Exercise starting. Now raise your right arm. Now stretch your body. Good. Now relax. Now raise your right arm. Now stretch your body. Good. Now relax. Good job on completing the exercise. Overhead shoulder stretch. Interlock your fingers and position them on the top of your head.
So that's how easy it is to do it. Just flip your phone, put it in front of your laptop, do a few exercises, get back to work. That's basically the underlying mechanism. Now, we have all these different exercises, that are packed in bite-sized intervals of 5, 10, 15, and 20-minute programs. Again, you don't have to get up from your desk to do this. And a leaderboard, so you can create an environment of staying healthy inside the company itself, so you can have all the employees of your company doing this together. Lastly, as an HR of the company, you can basically reward your employees based on them keeping themselves healthy. And some of the largest insurance companies in the region have actually partnered with us to do this. I'll skip this part and come to the conclusion. So we will integrate in the insurance company's own apps, and then they will be able to provide it within their app. You don't have to download a separate app. You don't have to install a separate application. And lastly, companies around the world are now started to pay their employees to exercise at work. So our mission here is really keeping everybody healthy and driving up the company's productivity. And some of the leading insurers around the region have taken the first step in partnering with us. If you'd like to find out who they are or more about the Desk-a-Size program, I'm at the booth number 1. Please come and visit us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abhishek. Can we get a round of applause for all the startups that came in person today? All right, moving on to, unfortunately, the startups that couldn't be here with us today. We have OpenPlan, which is a market leader in the Korean insurtech industry. And OpenPlan will become the first small amount short-term insurance, or SAST company, that provides daily life insurance along with embedded insurance.
Hi everyone, hope all of you are having a great time at the summit. My name is Young and I'm here to represent OpenPlan, an insurtech company in Korea that was founded in year 2019. We currently have a team of 26 and a subsidiary company named Toggle Insurance Services because it was required by the Korean legal regulations. But Toggle also happens to be the name of a platform that looks like this. An on-demand lifestyle insurance you can simply toggle on and off as you go, getting the coverage you need when you need it. Users can use our application to buy an insurance policy and then go from there to making claims all in a single app. And this is why most of our users are from the Emcee generation, or it's a term used in Korea to refer to millennials and Generation Z all combined. And it just basically means that it's the younger and the tech-friendlier generation. And you can see this in our index where 63.2% are from that generation, with 47% of repurchase rate and 62.4% of conversion rate, with 4.7 app rating, with 0 incomplete sales and withdrawals. And all of this data is coming from over 150,000 downloads and 250,000 transactions. And the numbers are expected to grow exponentially next year. Our loss ratio right now is at 27.5%, when market average is at 73.6%. And this is largely due to the Emcee generations being a lower risk consumer group as a whole. Now, moving on to embedded insurance. This is like an insurance tied with services or products, like the driver's license paired with the car rentals. So we act as a platform as a service to insurance and commercial partners through API integration. And by doing so, we nudge the consumers into purchasing the exact insurance they need, disrupting the whole consumer journey and creating a new demand and value that otherwise may not have existed. So this is the traditional consumer journey, from awareness to purchase. And this is the disrupted one with our business model, by nudging at the spending phase, which skips the whole product searching phase and eliminates the marketing and consumer acquisition costs, making it possible for us to spread the whole benefit towards all verticals of our sales channel. And this applies to countless everyday activities we go throughout the day, like flight booking to pet insurance. And all of this, of course, wouldn't have been possible without partners. And so this is the list of partnerships across different industries in Korea, from major players in the market to new and fast-growing companies. And last but not least, our growth rate is backed by the microservice architecture, which enables seamless transaction for mass number of transactions. And this is how we are able to process and provide diverse insurance plans across different industries, and will be a firm ground for our global expansion initiative. And thanks to this system, about 90% of insurance plans can be launched within a week, given that the preparations and documentations are already in place. And our vision is to ultimately become the first technology-based general agency insurance company in Korea. And currently, we are in the middle of expanding to the embedded insurance platform. After that, we will go further and acquire the permanent license for SAST, or this small amount short-term insurance company, which will enable us to become a comprehensive financial technology platform. So to achieve that vision, our ongoing growth strategy consists of two parts. First, becoming the first SAST company in Korea, which will drastically improve our profit and transactions. And two, becoming a super financial app in national and global scale. Unfortunately, this whole slide deserves a session of its own, but I don't have the time to cover it all. But we'll be more than happy to explain it or answer questions upon request. But just to give you an idea of the potential market we're striving for, global embedded insurance market value is expected to hit 3.5 trillion USD by year 2030. And as for the competition analysis here, note that we will become the only one and only SAST company in Korea, while the competitors are focusing on traditional general agency model. And in the long run, these agencies themselves may become a customer base. So we're out of the game, so to speak. And to sum everything up, we will become the first SaaS company backed with both mastery over insurance and the technology sufficient to support both domestic and global demands. And our business model is applicable across different industries and markets, meaning that its potential is virtually limitless when executed just right. So, daily life with Toggle, hassle-free, worry-free. Thank you so much for listening, and please feel free to reach out.
Thanks, Young. All right. The next startup that we have is GoPass Global. So GoPass Global is a data analytics company focused on building real-time risk platforms for the travel industry. So please welcome Mark Radford.
So my name is Mark Radford. I'm based in Singapore, and I'm CEO and founder of a company called GoPass Global. And we're a data and analytics company, and we concentrate on providing real-time solutions in the travel space around risk. So we've actually, we've actually been to market and powered by the threat of COVID and you know all the complications around that. We actually built an analytical platform around that, launched that back in October 2021, and attained customers on that. And what we really built there was to transform this kind of very tedious process of trying to collate risk and regulations and all this sort of stuff. We turned that into like an 8-second job. And again, using our background as data scientists, data engineers, and analytical experts, be able to get data in and present that in a very simple format for our user. And also coinciding with that was a new travel risk standard that was released called ISO 31030 in the marketplace. And a lot of companies were, you know, part of that is that risk analysis in adhering to that standard. So our product splices very, very nicely in that. So it's our intention to grow this initial product that we had with COVID into a full risk travel product and be able to get that into corporates and travel management companies and even down to individuals to assess risk. So what that means in the case of COVID, we took all those disparate data sources that, again, very difficult for travel management people or corporate travel managers to assess themselves, and we created a very simple output for the user, but a lot of complexity behind that. And when we're looking at the full risk process for pre-travel, in the industry, there is no digital solution at all. Okay, so there's a lot of processes and ticker boxes and, you know, do a step-by-step analysis, but no push-button digital process. So this is a really big opportunity for us in the marketplace. So that expanded portfolio, you know, we expand our bio product line to include viruses, diseases, water quality, you know, any kind of infectious, malaria, etc. Also societal risk, so crime, personal safety, regulatory risk, political, geo. Obviously, you know, with climate change, we're getting a lot of an acceleration in climate events around the world that are disrupting travel and access to countries. So, you know, we want to provide all that data in real time as well. And then what's our economic background as far as, you know, government and legislative controls, etc. And also integrating things like what are my visa requirements and all that stuff into that kind of one-touch experience. So as far as the platform's concerned, we're all in cloud. We're a virtual international company. We use the latest technologies. We base that on Microsoft Azure, and that means we have full integration with full API levels, authentication, etc., etc. So all those things come packaged, you know, within the platform, and of course on demand. So we can scale very rapidly in this architecture. And in fact, we were asked by Microsoft in Q1 to present to their analyst community in Southeast Asia as an example of, you know, a Microsoft customer that's using all this technology to very quickly create product, get it to market and build, you know, and get out there as a startup. So we're very proud of that architecture that we built with that system. And it also enables us to test and validate our assumptions about our product build very quickly with customers. So we can get an iteration out there very, very quickly. And that's been part of our DNA as we've grown as GoPass Global. So put together a fantastic international team, everything, you know, from our data engineering and our analytical people, able to build models and combine our data scientists, obviously our security, and then our partnerships with the various travel agencies. So with full risk, this really opens up the portfolio for us in being able to address into insurance, into risk management for companies. So not just around the travel piece, but also full country risk and full country assessment risk, but again, at a very inexpensive kind of access, kind of touch of the button. So that's, in a nutshell, that's Go Past Global. You know, we're a global, scalable, we're an ESG opportunity in the marketplace. And we really use our technology to differentiate that in pre-travel or pre-decision-making assessments. We're able to gather massive amounts of data and simplify that output very simply for our customers, and at an incredibly low cost to serve. So we're not bound by legacy infrastructure in providing that service. So we already have those customers out there on the COVID product. We're going to be expanding them into full risk and then be able to have that as a much broader opportunity for us. So yeah, we're out in the marketplace raising money for this next phase and next growth phase of the company, all based in Singapore. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, the last couple of startups. We have Kogo, who is a climate fintech on a mission to empower millions of individuals and businesses to measure, reduce, and report their carbon emissions. Please welcome Josh.
Hello, I'm Josh Dry, the Business Development Director at Kogo. Kogo is a climate fintech focused on empowering millions of individuals and small businesses with the ability to measure, reduce, and report on their emissions. And I'm here to show you, with your help, how we can achieve this. Daily on the news, outside everyone's window, and on our financial sheets, we are seeing the risk of moving too slowly to mitigate climate change. We must do this today, and we must do this at scale. Kogo now has over 112 committed employees in more than 12 countries on this mission. We've raised over 11 million US to date and are currently live with our Series A funding round as we look to raise around 20 million US to date to continue our Asian and North American expansion and roadmap developments. In the past 12 months alone, Kogo has formed partnerships with the 14 banks you see here, deploying our retail solutions for individuals across 7 different countries in more than 4 languages. Kogo was the first company in history to integrate a carbon footprint tracker into a core banking experience. We launched this with NatWest in November last year, and they've seen more than 300,000 individuals opt in within the first 9 months. However, to hit the global decarbonisation targets we as a humanity need to hit, we also must empower and finance millions of small businesses. So, we've launched Kogo's Business Carbon Manager. This optimized end-to-end solution enriches a business's transactional accounting data with the most credible country-specific emissions factors to allow businesses to measure their carbon footprints. Then, we empower them to reduce through relevant impact-driven climate actions with connected green finance options or sustainable products or services, as well as including the ability for both the businesses and the bank partner to report on the measurable reduction achieved. For many business owners, for the first time ever, within the financial tools they are using daily, we are showing them their 12-month and real-time carbon footprint. This includes Scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions and is aligned to the GHG protocol. Depending on what country and sector the business is in, our solution tailors actions to the business's needs, such as showing a company potential emissions reduction of moving their fleet of vehicles to electric and nudging them to finance or products to assist. Businesses and banks can then share these reports with regulators, customers, and peers, showing the reduced emissions attached to their finance transition. We have delivered this solution, requiring no technical integration to a bank within just a matter of weeks. We have reduced an average of 11 kgs of carbon emissions per retail bank customer per month. What we're looking for is values-aligned bank partners to help us achieve scale. Should we reach even 1 in 10 of the small medium businesses in Southeast Asia alone, we would reduce 1 million tonnes of carbon emissions a year. That is equivalent to 230,000 return flights from Singapore to London. If you support Kogo, you are supporting the decarbonisation of the global economy. So, let's go change the world together. Let's Kogo. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Josh. And in keeping with the theme, our final startup for today is Impact Finance, which produces SDG alignments and impact statements, positive and negative, social and environmental impact analyses that go beyond normal ESG project norms. Please welcome Impact.
What if data had a real impact? Last August, the Wall Street Journal published a study on 30,000 ESG, environmental, social, and governance ratings. 60% of them were either non-comparable or literally opposite. How can finance be sustainable and part of the solution with poor quality data on the companies they invest in or lend to? I'm Axel Bonaldo, Head of Business Development at Impact, the first independent impact rating agency. Impact is a French and Canadian fintech created in 2017. We are a mission first and impact company, B Corp certified since the beginning. Our mission is to help banks and asset managers make more sustainable decisions by providing them with qualitative impact data of their assets that go way beyond ESG. We are aiming to become the Standard and Poor's of impact. The main challenge today of the financial sector is having access to universal open source, rigorous and comparable impact data. With the combination of technology and human impact analysts, we try to solve the main issues brought by the first generation of extra financial rating agency, the usual suspects of ESG rating agencies. They only focus on negative impact reduction. Impact analyze companies with a 360-degree view of their negative and positive impact to provide the full picture of our clients' assets' impact. The second issue is the lack of transparency with in-house methodologies working as black boxes. The third issue is the lack of comparability with in-house methodologies as well. We chose to operationalize the impact management project standard created and used by more than 2,000 international experts such as SASB, GRI, UNEP, OCDE, the World Bank, which is 100% open source and the most rigorous on the market today. We score and analyze the portfolios companies of our clients on the IMP, the Impact Management Project Framework, and provide them with the impact data on our SaaS platform with impact statements and impact scores so they are able to make more informed and sustainable investments decisions. We are also launching a family of the first impact indices in the world used for ETFs and index funds. Impact is the first to market with a human augmented intelligence database that is regulations ready, offers a user-friendly and customizable platform for our clients on either listed and private companies. Our competitors will have to spend a lot of money and time and efforts to catch up. Here are the faces of Impact's managing team. I will skip it, unfortunately, because I don't have much time left. But if you're interested to meet us, let me know. We'll get a coffee all together. We have more than 30 clients with big actors of the financial sector, such as Franklin Templeton, Societe Generale, JP Morgan, Asian Development Bank, Natixis. Thank you all for listening. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Alex. So with that, I'd like to conclude our financial services program. I hope you've enjoyed yourself this morning. And if you want to meet any of the startups, please remember that we have a few that are at the back. And if you want to connect with any of them, you can please use the Brella app. With that, thank you very much, and I'll hand the time over to Wayne.